It's fantastic to have you at the world premiere of Postman, Pat the movie. Can you just start by giving us a very quick synopsis for people who haven't seen the film yet? What's in store for Pat this time?
Well, Pat has quite a journey to go on. He promises his wife an Italian holiday. She's always wanted to go to Italy. Unfortunately, though, things aren't going well at work, so he's not going to be able to afford it. Along comes an X Factor style TV competition, You're the One, run by a man called Simon Cowbell. And Pat enters that competition, and it turns out Pat has an incredible singing voice. And it goes on from there.
Of course, your singing voice in the film comes courtesy of Mr. Ronan Keating. How relieved and satisfied were you with his performance?
Well, Pat's supposed to have a jaw-droppingly beautiful voice, and luckily I don't, and Ronan does. So I'm delighted that he's doing it. I mean, one of the best things about this film is the music. There's some really great songs in it. A lot of Postman-related songs. There are far more than you might possibly imagine, and they're nearly all in this film. So, yeah, I'm delighted Ronan's doing it.
Of course, I mean, Pat's such an iconic and beloved figure. How do you think this film helps introduce him to another generation?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think animated films are some of the best stuff that's being produced full stop out there. Some of the best films there are animated films. And it's, I know from having 2 kids of my own how much fun it is to go to a movie and sit there with your kids for an hour and a half and watch something. So it's a bit of an event. So hopefully it'll bring a lot of kids in and parents, and they can come and enjoy Pat and sing along to my voice, my voice.
Of course, when you're not having fun with Pat, we're loving the new series of episodes. Can you tell us what's coming up with that, and how much fun you're still having working with Tamsin and Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm big joy working with Matt LeBlanc and Tamsin Gregg, and the new series transmits on Wednesday night. We film series 4 in August. I would happily do it for the next 20 years. I love that show.
What can we hope for from season 4? What are you hoping for?
I don't know, maybe some full frontal nudity from Matt, not me. I don't know, really. I don't know. The great thing is waiting for the writers to surprise us. You never know what they're going to come up with. Pat, Postman Pat, come on. You know you want to.
Well, of course, all the stories are wonderful, and they are timeless. You can watch them at any time throughout the years. But this one does bring it right up to date with this, reality TV sort of being seduced by fame, that sort of thing. So I think it's very, very relevant to what's going on today.
Can you tell us a bit about where your character fits into things?
Yes, I play Sarah Clifton, his wife, and we have a wonderful, fun, sweet relationship. But she does get a little bit worried that he's getting seduced by fame and that he's changing and not the Pat that she knows and loves. But you'll see, it's a real love story, and she's his biggest fan. So.
Why do you think he remains such an iconic and beloved children's figure?
I think because he's such a sweet, wholesome, wonderful character that kids really relate to, and throughout the years I think he's remained that, and I think that he's a very appealing, charming, sweet character that kids really do love.
Of course, I mean, he's been given a bit of a facelift in this film, a new style of animation. Can you describe that and kind of what you think that's going to bring to a new audience, a younger audience?
I think it will appeal to the younger audience because it is very, very now, and I think kids will relate to that in a huge way, and I think they'll enjoy the way it's.
Of course, fans will recognise a number of the voices. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other fantastic people lending their voice to the new Pat cast?
Yeah, well, it's obviously David Tennant, Stephen Mangan, who plays Postman Pat, Jim Broadbent, obviously, and Rupert Grint. Yeah.
Of course, I mean, the voice of Pat is very familiar to us all. I think we all have memories of it from our childhood. How's Stephen's Pat? How does that compare to what we sort of very familiar to hearing coming out of Pat's mouth?
Oh, I think he's amazing. I think he's absolutely wonderful, and I think he is the Pat of this generation. He's just brilliant. He's so funny, and Postman Pat himself is so sweet and kind, and he just brings that out so much. Such a lovely, lovely guy.
I mean, for you as a performer, how does the experience of voice acting compare to on-screen work?
It's wonderful. It's really liberating. It's such a creative process. You can really bring so much to the process because it's over such a long period of time. So the script is continually changing, and it's a really fun, creative process.
What's coming up for you next? Is there anything else on your plate at the moment?
I've just done a movie. I can't remember if I mentioned I live in LA now, so I did a movie in LA that's due out later on this year called Branded.
Can you tell us anything about that, what that's about, and where you fit into that?
It's a post-apocalyptic thriller, so very, very different.
It's Postman Pat. I think that's all you need to say, isn't it, really? He's just been such a fabric of English television for a very, very long time, and I grew up with it, you know, and our kids are growing up with it now. It's just, he stands the test of time, and he's a good guy.
How do you think this movie helps excite the next generation about Postman Pat?
I think people already know about Postman Pat, and I just think it takes it to a whole other level, and to be able to see it on the big screen with all these amazing people it's fantastic.
How did it feel for you personally to be involved, and can you tell us a bit about your character?
It's I play a shopkeeper in Pat's local village, and to be involved in it, they said, do you want to do Postman Pat the movie? And I said, absolutely, yes. And how could you say no? Honestly, I was thrilled and honoured to be part of it.
What was the experience like of recording your voice? Did you get to do lots of different takes and kind of play around?
When I got to mess around with voices, which was really nice. You don't really normally get to do that very much, so I got to really play, and I really love doing that with animation. It's good fun.
Is this something you'd like to do more of in the future? Is this a new kind of focus for you, perhaps?
I always loved doing voices for animation, and it's really nice to be able to be part of something like this. So you just get to try out different things than I think than you would normally do, or I would normally get the opportunity to do at least.
I mean, talking about voices, Pat has a fantastic singing voice, courtesy of Mr. Ronan Keating. Are you a Ronan Keating fan? Do you like?
I grew up with Ronan Keating. Of course, I'm a Ronan Keating fan. It's going to be amazing. You can hear it now. There he is.
What's coming up for you at the moment? Where are we going to see and hear you next?
I've been filming really up until last week the Blacklist up in the States, and been playing Mira Malik, CIA agent. So it's very, very different departure for me doing this.
I mean, everyone's very excited about the Blacklist. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you can expect from that coming up?
Oh God, the Blacklist. It's people are constantly dying on our show. Very different from this. I don't know if you've seen the show. It's a pretty hardcore show, and it's just full of action, and it's just a lot of fun. Very entertaining.
Working alongside James, a fantastic talent. Can you talk about that experience? Because he's a mesmerising figure.
He's a really formidable force, and James is an amazing actor, and he's an amazing actor to watch. And it's just lovely being in a room with him and watching him work and being at that level. It's great.
Is there anything specifically you'd like to see coming up for your character in that?
Gosh, I don't know. I love whatever. I mean, the writers are so good. I just sort of try and take it as it comes. It's always it's nice to have a surprise. I don't like to know too much.
What makes Postman Pat such a beloved and timeless children's character, and how excited were you to be involved in the project?
I believe it's his innocence, the innocence of the cartoon, the humour, the simplicity of it. It's something we need in society today, so I love that.
Is the start of lots of film projects to come? Is this the future for you?
I hope so. I would hope so. That would be lovely.
What would be your dream role, your dream project to be involved in?
Oh, my dream role, love. What would be my dream role? James Bond.
I can see that. You'd look very sharp in a tux. And obviously, you're singing in this film. Are we going to be hearing you other places? What have you got coming up musically?
Yeah, working on a new album with the boys at the moment. And there's a lot going on, really, with gigs all across the summer. And then I'm back down in Australia for X Factor in August.
The new album that you're working on with the boys, I think fans are going to be very excited. I mean, what kind of inspirations, what's going into that? It must be a very special feeling to be back with the guys.
It's great to be back with the boys. The new album's a concept record, so it's covers, but something people will like. I can't wait.
I mean, a special challenge as a singer to do covers, because obviously you're competing with something that people are already familiar with and maybe have a lot of affection for already.
Yeah, in the film.
Well, I guess in the film and, of course, in the new covers album you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you're always competing with the originals, but you got to make them your own. That's what's important.
I mean, in terms of your voice for this film, were you given any kind of direction for the singing, or did they just let you do your own thing?
Nah, they just let me be me.
You're just too good. They couldn't.
Oh no, I don't know about that.
You did squeeze in a quick cameo as well. I think
cameo, and they let me be me in that as well. Thank God.
Typecasting.
I'm telling you, terrible.
Do you have a message to fans before you leave us? I mean, I guess particularly fans who can't wait for the new album as well.
Yeah, look, just thanks for the support. Is the most important thing. After 20 years, 21 years now of doing it, to still be kind of relevant is nice. So thank you.
An amazing career, like you say, 21 years. For you, what's your ultimate highlight? What are you most proud of at this point in your career?
What am I most proud of? I mean, been still here. Longevity is everything. I've had a lot of friends come and go in this industry, you know, had success, and it was difficult for them to continue. And I've had ups and downs, but I'm still getting away with it.
What makes Postman Pat such a beloved and timeless children's figure?
I don't know. I mean, for some reason, he was my hero when I was a kid. I wanted to be a postman, and I think that was it. I mean, it was kind of, you could actually become a postman if you really kind of tried. It was kind of an achievable thing, opposed to other heroes that you're just never going to happen. But yeah, it's always been something special about him.
You're no stranger to working with beloved children's franchises. Do you feel an extra sense of responsibility and perhaps excitement when you do that?
Yeah, I mean, this was just something I just really wanted to do because, I mean, as I say, it was such a huge part of my childhood, and yeah, I think it's going to be really fun to see him on a big screen finally.
Singing opposite Ronan Keating, how daunting was that? And is this the start of a budding musical career, perhaps? Because we know you like your music.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I only I recorded it, and then I found out Ronan Keating was I was up against, which just seems a little bit unfair. But yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed doing the singing. I mean, they did a lot of kind of auto-tuning, I think, was necessary, but yeah, it was good fun.
You've been doing a lot of very varied stuff lately. I mean, voice acting, working on stage, award-winning work on stage. What's coming up next for you, and where do you see your long-term kind of priorities?
I don't know. I kind of just take things as it comes, really, and yeah, it was fun doing a bit of stage stuff. I'd like to do more of that. But yeah, I'm doing a film in a few days, so yeah, that'll keep me busy for a while.
Tell us anything about that? Who are you working with?
It's about a fake moon landing. So yeah.
Do you play in that?
I play. Well, it's kind of a complicated story, but I think that's as much as I can say at the moment.
So, I mean, you're working with a fantastic voice cast here, and you've worked with some fantastic people over the last few years. I believe you had some very interesting on-set experiences with Shia LaBeouf, though.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, that was a film I did. Necessary Death of Charlie Countryman. That was a couple of years ago, and yeah, it was it's a crazy film, and it was a crazy shoot. But yeah, it was good fun.
Very final question just before we let you go. I know a lot of people have been asking about this, and it's been kind of a big debate among fans. JK's kind of comments about Ron and Hermione. How do you feel about that, and has the fan discussion kind of changed your opinion on the viability of their long-term romantic future?
Sure, I haven't really read that much about it. I have heard people have said that, and yeah, it surprised me. Because I always thought they were quite a good match, but I don't know. She wrote it, so Joe probably knows more than me. But yeah, I think it kind of works. I think Harry and Hermione is kind of predictable, isn't it? But
you guys are a cute couple. Yeah. What makes Postman Pat one of, if not the most beloved and timeless children's characters?
You know, I keep answering that question, and I feel I should stop, only because how does anybody know what makes something like Pat, Pat? He's timeless. He's a part of the English DNA. He's absolutely integral to what I think of as England because I've been watching him since I was a little kid. So other than the obvious things, his kindness, his stick-to-itiveness, the wonderful characters who live in Greendale and how nice it would be to live there. Other than the obvious, Postman Pat is magic. He's been magic since the day he came on. He's still magic. There'll never be anything else like him. There'll never be anybody to compete with Postman Pat. Not even texting.
As a director, how did you find the challenge of preserving that iconic legacy with both updating him for a new audience and making him a little bit more current in some ways?
Well, there's a team of us, and we were very, very, very serious about not changing the essential heart and quality of the show. So Pat is still Pat. When you see him in CG, your first thought isn't, oh, look, a CG character. Your first thought, oh, it's Pat, and he moves a little better. But it's still Pat, and we were very careful. And the script and the cast and most of the crew are all English and are very protective of it. And whenever the Hollywood guy tried, they slapped me down. They're a tough group of guys here. They want their Pat. And so I listened to smart people and hopefully respected the subject matter and tried to make something exciting.
And for fans who haven't seen the film yet, can you just give us a quick synopsis and tell us a bit about where some of the ideas came from, particularly the reality TV angle, because that's something slightly new to the world of Pat.
Isn't that great? Kim and Annika, the writers, came up with that. The first two writers on it came up with that, and that's the script I was handed, and that was one of the reasons I decided to do it, other than the fact that Pat's in it. But I don't know where the idea came from, but it's an appealing idea to take a character that you know very, very well and have him go off because he wants to get Sarah the honeymoon they've never been able to afford to have. He goes off and competes on not the X Factor for legal reasons, and he actually tries to compete and win a vacation in Italy. And he goes on and he sings, and it turns out Pat has an amazing talent none of us knew about, and Ronan Keating's song will absolutely make you cry. I defy anybody to watch that part of the movie and not get a little choked up. It is unbelievable. Ronan just kicked it out of the park, and as did Rupert with his song, and Stephen, who is the voice of Pat, who did a brilliant job. And together what these guys do then, they bring us to this Pat who is now swept into the world of, I won't say Hollywood, but he's swept into the world of entertainment. And basically they try to Americanize him, and he won't let him do it. Because remember, America bad, England good, Postman Pat forever.
Amazing voice cast like you just mentioned there. Can you talk a little bit about the other voices we are going to recognise and what they all bring to the film? I mean, obviously people like Rupert, young fans particularly very excited to hear him.
Yeah. Rupert was fun too, because he can sing. So he's got an original pop tune in there, and we had a great time. And he's got a very fun character. Rupert's character is actually the competition for Pat on the talent show, and we think we've got a great take on that character, very likable character. And his manager is David Tennant, Wilf. And to say that Wilf goes stark raving insane over the course of the film would probably be a fair thing to say. And he's he's Josh's manager, and this is their big chance. And so it gets very competitive for Wilf. Nobody else seems to be as worked up about it as Wilf, but if you've ever had a manager, that's not untrue. And Jim Broadbent, who's just stunning, is the CEO, the person we meet who actually runs the post office, well, the delivery service now. Just unbelievable talent, and he just brought this warmth and this charm and this sweetness to that character. We have Stephen, who did an incredible job. I could name the whole cast. Nobody did a bad job. Susan Jordan as Sarah is the sweetest voice in the world. I dare you to shut your eyes, listen to Sarah, and not fall in love with Susan. She's incredible. And so the whole thing was great. The cat wasn't handled that well. I don't like the guy who did the cat. That was me. I'm allowed to say that.
You're allowed to insult yourself. Before you leave us, do you have a message for big and little fans of Pat out there who can't wait for the film? Anything like that?
Yes. When you come to the film, please remember we're tried very hard to give you a wonderful, entertaining evening at the film. We're very grateful that if you come and support it, and we hope we're going to supply you with an experience you and your family will remember for years. I really hope this becomes part of your childhood and part of your family's life, and we're deeply, deeply grateful and honored you've chosen to share our work. Thank you.